It has piqued my interest quite a bit because I haven't had such a conversation before.
Then we found out that actually there's a transgender writer on the team, a trans woman that usually hates all men. So yeah, she or he or whatever, they are supposed to write a game about the manliest men ever. But they hate
Sure.
men.
Might just dive into it a bit more. Just a tip, because of you.
Yeah, tip your toes into the Black Templars. The game was hacked and completely released online a few days ago. 75 gigs of the full game. Hi to everyone, guys. Hi there with me, the 40k Empress. This is the Warp, the format that we're going to use for this kind of a discussion. So, hi to my dear friend and YouTube colleague, Helzo, or Disgusting. You can visit his channel down below. So, hi to you.
Good day, and thank you for having me. I'm Helzo, I'm Disgusting, and very glad to be here.
Awesomeness. So we are gathered here today to talk about Space Marine 2. So my dear friend here is not like completely and totally into Warhammer 40k or all those things, but he have seen flash kits, animations, and other stuff. Okay, tell us, what is your relation to Warhammer in general?
To be honest, I'm a absolute newbie because I've been interested in Warhammer, but more I've been interested in the fan base because for me anything that has such a strong and dedicated fan base is something that's worthy of attention. However, I've never gotten around to actually knowing anything about Warhammer aside from Space Marines, similarities that I've seen with some other franchises, and that's it. I'm a complete normie when it comes to it, but there are things that pop out, especially now your videos have popped up recently with some controversies about the upcoming game. I watched the trailer, the gameplay trailer by the way, and as a complete normie, as someone who has no idea what's going on, the trailer was awesome. The trailer was absolutely, I enjoyed every second of it, like watching the gameplay, the carnage, movement, the pacing, and that's all I can say about it because strictly from gaming experience to watch this game and to play what was shown in the trailer, I think for someone like me it would be awesome.
Yeah, and have you seen, actually the first game is very old. It's like 11 years old now by this point. Space Marine, just Space Marine.
I've seen some images, but as I mentioned, this is one of the franchises that I never got around to. Just not because I'm disinterested in those stuff, but at the time I was heavily into StarCraft, and I'm probably going to get lynched in the comments for saying this, but some of the things that I've seen, especially now in the trailer for Space Marine 2, very, very strongly remind me of StarCraft, especially the Xenos and the Space Marines, because they're not the same, but it's heavily like very similar designs. And I'm sorry if I'm offending the fan base, it's not intentional, but it's just as amazing because I've been a fan of StarCraft since the 90s, and probably that's what kept me from 40k because I was just focused on that thing.
Okay, well, real quick then, the first Space Marine game, it's, third-person shooter, kind of resembles Gears of War, but you see your character fully. I mean, you see the character a bit, more up front rather than closer to the camera. You are basically shooting orcs. There's a story and everything. You have Captain Titus. He's the leader of the Ultramarines in this game, and in the second game we just continue with Captain Titus. Everything is canon, and basically this takes place years after the first game. He's demoted to lieutenant now because stuff happened, but now this is present to the 40k lore at the moment in which Terra is going to face the Tyranids, basically Earth, which is, Terra is Earth in the 40k universe, and hopefully there's gonna be some big characters there as cameos, we'll see, but this is totally a third-person, mega action-packed game. The studio has their own engine that allows all the Tyranids to be on the screen at the same time, and yeah, It's supposed to be very, very awesome, but now for the past few months there was some controversy around the game that you may have heard of. The first was that the game was delayed and it was supposed to come out earlier this year. They said that they want to polish the game. Then we found out that actually there's a transgender writer on the team, a trans woman that usually hates all men. So yeah, she or he or whatever, they are supposed to write a game about the manliest men ever,
Mm-hmm.
but they hate
Sure.
men. Yeah.
All right. So apparently, I wait. I just this is something that I want. Like we talked with you when you're going to be guest on my stream later on. This is something that actually flows into what I wanted to talk about, and I'll just briefly mention it here. And why modern entertainment sucks. This is basically the topic that we're going to discuss in much greater detail. But this is like just let me explain my reaction when you just told me this. In the past, if you told me that they're hiring a transgender, I wouldn't bat an eye because in the past there was much more vote of confidence and like respect towards game studios, especially big game studios, and nobody actually gave such notice to those things because all games were better. That's how I'm going to say, because they were still focused on performance and on bringing good content. So it wasn't important who was on your team, and it's not important who's on the team now. Like that hasn't changed. The only merit to success is talent. But now that you're telling me this and seeing everything that has happened in the past like 6 years, I think I immediately jumped to the I think true conclusion that this is not someone who's qualified to do what they're hired to do, and they're hired as a diversity hire. And I might be wrong, but usually I wouldn't jump to those conclusions. But after the last 6 years, there has been so much proof that such diversity hires basically they're not good at it. They're just not good at what they're supposed to do. And now that you're telling me this, and I'm just like, oh no, they're gonna ruin everything.
Yeah, but also there's a lead writer, and this transgender person, they're not the lead writer. So that is like the silver lining. Maybe, just maybe, they're not going to have as much impact on this game, but this is what everybody are worried about. And there has been, for example, in some of the trailers, a space marine that looks kind of Asian and a space marine that looks black. And usually, because each space marine chapter comes from a particular Primarch, they're supposed to have at least some resemblance to their Primarch. Not every time, not always. They have a particular look to them. So for example, this is about the Ultramarines, and they come from the Primarch Gilman, who is very blonde guy with blue eyes and short blonde hair, of course a white guy. This means that all the space marines should be white, at least for the most part. And in the past we have seen in some of the novel space marines that are black from the ultramarines, so this is not out of the question. But when we see such a thing, usually it's very hard to extract some kind of a logic out of that. It does seem like it's about the diversity thing, but then there's the element that each and every space marine chapter, because they have such a distinct look, so to speak, or at least some of them has, like for example there's one Primarch, his name is Jagdai Khan. He's basically like a Mongol, you know. So a lot of his, if not all of the Astartes from his chapter are just, you know, Asian looking basically. There's one that is called Vulcan, and he is black, but not black is the race. He just has an ash skin, like ash dark, but he's Caucasian in his features. His legion, they all have this ash texture to their skin. And there's Magnus the Red. Now I have not seen actually Astartes from his legion without a helmet, so this is not exactly consistent though with everything. But okay, I'm totally, you know, willing to excuse any diversity in the Legion, even if it does not make that much of a sense, if that is the extent that we're going to reach when it comes to any kind of a wokeness, a closing to the wokeness area. But yeah, other than that, I just don't see how this writer can interject any wokeness into the game. I just don't see it. It's very hard to interject anything of that sort in Warhammer 40k because there's barely any talk about sexual relationships at all. It's not about, there's barely any love, romanticism in 40k like we know it from other franchises. So it is extremely hard to do that. And there's, the god of pleasure, the excess, and they they are absolutely representation of everything woke that you can think of, so there's that, but they're not present and they're not supposed to be present in this story because this is all about the ultramarines and the tyranids. So it does look like, by everything that we have seen, that this game should be very, very solid. And they have picked, actually, Clive Standen, the guy that plays Rolo in Vikings, to play Captain Titus, Lieutenant Titus this time. And he seems like the manliest guy and all those things. So, it does not seem bad for now.
Beginner question on all of this. Like, when you say that they come from the Primarch, does that mean like genetically? I mean like cloning and genetic manipulation? Because I heard something in the trailer, genetically enhanced, like from the explanation. So basically they come from his DNA and they're basically clones of the Primarch, or just part of them, like of the same racial features in this case?
Well, it's a bit more complicated when we're talking about Space Marines and Space Marine creation, but basically the Primarch, from him it comes, so to speak, the gene seed. That the gene seed is implanted in the warriors that are supposed to become the Space Marines, which are usually children like above 10, 13 years old, around that age, who are suitable for this procedure altogether. They have to withstand trials to become Space Marines, so it's not easy. They have to be really, really physically exceptional, and then they have to actually survive the procedures. 2 hearts have to be implanted. The gene seed makes them bigger. They grow like beyond 2 meters of height. They become extremely muscular, durable. Then there's the armor, which enhances them. Additionally, there's some liquids that just get injected into their veins so they can heal them, to give them strength and all of that. So you can say that the Space Marines of a particular legion, they're sons of their Primarch, but this is because of the gene seed. So the Primarch does not make babies at all. They do not have sexuality or all of that, sexual desires or any of the sort, unless they're Space Marines that are already corrupted and they are obedient to Slanesh, basically.
Those children, where do they come from?
They're just normal children from Terra or from other planets of the galaxy.
I'm just trying to connect the dots because like the gene seeds changes their appearance as well, right?
Yeah, it does, like significantly changes their appearance.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to confirm that because like when we talk about ratio, if they're children that they're born, like if they're not white, I wanted to ask like how does the gene seed change them in this case to look like the Emperor?
So I
Like,
never
is-
heard the gene seed to change someone's race, so if they had to recruit a black Space Marine, he will probably remain black.
Yeah, I'm asking just to connect the dots to see like, because if you put some actual adequate logic, it can be explained without getting to be woke, without being unnecessarily diverse.
Of course,
But you have to put a certain logic to all of it in order to. And in most cases, they don't put that logic. So I'm looking for the logic to determine those things, if they're woke or not. And I don't know anything about the whole story, so that's why I'm asking for details.
Yeah, well, it does seem so far from everything that I understood and talked with other fans. It's a bit under question still. How is that happening? Is it really woke or it isn't? Some will say that, oh, there's some logic to it because this and that, but I'm yet to see like a very valid argument about that. Guys, if you know more, if you somehow found an information, his father is Gilliman. How is an Ultramarine supposed to be black? Is it because really they found a black person who is very suitable to accept the gene seed, become an Astarte, and his Primarch still be Gilliman? That has to be the case, but that has to be also explicitly said somewhere, and I just have not seen that yet. So if anyone read a novel or a codex or whatever that kind of explains that, of course, if there is logic to it, then everything is absolutely perfectly fine. but because, there was such integrations from years ago, it kind of really seems that's about diversity and it's not about logic. It's just how it seems when I look at the miniatures and in that particular book that it's about the ultramarines. I totally forgot the name of the book now, but there's literally a black space marine on the cover.
Yeah, so like I mean, it might be okay, like, or even if they add more story, let's say, like from a independent standpoint as a writer, they might say we had to look for, let's say, other, I don't know, like children or settlements with humans to reach further to recruit the children, let's say, because correct me if I'm wrong, like let's say they go to certain places with certain children and they test them, like in The Witcher. When you were explaining the gene seed, I was like, oh, those are space witchers because they're genetically modified killing machines that are stronger, faster, and better than everything else. And they go through trials as well, and probably like they could have needed, because let's say the war is like the war, the expansion, the everything is going like it's hard and they need to reach further into the regions of settlements and the population of Terra to get more children. Or let's say it was found that children like in a remote settlement that were, let's say, black or Asian or whatever, were also fit. Like as an independent, I can see how it can be explained even by adding new lore. I don't know if everyone will agree with me because I'm not I'm not the expert voice, but I can see how it can be added, because if you look at it a neutral point of view, a new lore, it can always be good just to expand the whole universe and not just rely on only on what has been said up until now, unless you retcon. If you retcon, then that's bad. Because if you explicitly say, let's say, only children with a certain gene type, that includes skin color, like that includes the race, if that's written into the lore, then changing that lore would be bad. But if it's not written, then you do have some room to wiggle.
Well, here's another thing. So each Primarch, there are 18 Primarchs. There were 20, but 2 were lost in the lore. Nobody knows anything about them. But 18 Primarchs did survive. They were scattered all throughout the galaxy, and each of them landed on a certain planet. And thus, on this certain planet, there's a particular race of humanoids each time. I mean, human beings. So, for example, Lehman Russ is the Primarch of the Space Vikings. That's how people call them. So, yeah, he's very cool. So, Lehman Russ, he's like a Russian guy with an axe, something like that. His space wolves are all white, usually, with huge beards and fangs, like wolves, and they have also specific abilities and cool stuff that only they have, specific adaptations, senses, all those things. And then you have, for example, Sanguinius, who is the angel of the Primarchs. He has wings. That is something from the gene seed of the Emperor, because each Primarch, they come from the Emperor. So the Emperor is their father, but again, is their gene father. It's not their, I made you the normal way father, So Sanguinius is blonde with blue eyes and amazing, and I'm pretty sure most of his legion are also, at least white guys. I don't remember any one of the Blood Angels to be any other race. And then again, you have, once again, Jagatai Khan, who landed on a planet with a culture that resembles old Mongols. So he just landed on that planet and he looks like that, and everyone else look like that. But there was a animation recently that GW released in their service Warhammer Plus. Everything has to be plus. That was actually pretty cool. It was called Pariah Nexus, and it was about basically a sister of battle that is going around this planet that has been attacked by the Necrons. If you know what the Necrons are, they're like metal guys that look like skeletons, super advanced alien civilization that look like, well, metal skeletons. But they're much deeper than that. They're usually Egypt themed in the ways that they look. Anyway, so they're pretty much very focused on not liking humans and killing us whenever they can. And on this planet, there was a particular space marine that came, actually a few, but they died. They crashed and one survived. They were a part of space marines called the Salamanders. And the Salamanders are the ones that come from the Primarch Vulcan. So yeah, the salamanders come from the primal Vulcan, and he's the one that has the ash skin. So there's this guy walking, and he's just like, taking his helmet off, and I'm looking at a guy with an ash skin, and everything is perfect, but what do I see? He's Asian. And I'm like, wait a minute, are they Asian people on Vulcan? And that's also the planet that they come from. Maybe they recruit from other planets, but how are they going to recruit from other planets since he's already having the skin? And that is the only way to do that, to achieve that look, is if you're on the planet, born and raised there, not just because your gene seed is your primary gene
Mixed,
seed, as far as I know. So
mixed
how is this guy Asian now?
relations. Mixed relations, like you say that there are other planets that they might recruit, so mixed relations between normal humans, like humanoid before he was found to be recruited as a space marine.
Maybe if someone just came to live on this planet a few generations and they became the same color, they happen to be Asian and they, actually that's possible. Yeah, that is true. So this is all under, under review yet, so we don't know exactly. It just, when you see it at first, you're like, well, I thought that all people from Vulcan are Caucasian, but okay, fine. It's fine. It's really fine. I mean, this guy is amazing as a character as well. He's just badass. Always Space Marines are, but they always also have something that is very unique to each and every one. They're not like robots that don't have character to them. It's in the exact opposite. They're very much human on the inside. Okay, that is the controversy with this rider, which I really don't think that's gonna impact the game. Hopefully it doesn't. And then we have the next and final, hopefully, controversy, which is the fact that the game was hacked and completely released online a few days ago. 75 gigs of the full game done by someone from Russia, uploaded to a Russian torrent site. Apparently the build of the game that was released was from February, so it's not the complete version. There were some missing assets and all of that, but other than this is the complete game. So that was a huge scandal, basically.
Take your security more seriously, I guess. Like, Russian hackers are nothing to be scoffed at. They're only second to ours. So
yeah, and then there was a Twitter war between people that actually attacked the studio, people from Ukraine seems like, that attacked the studio because they had a Russian programmer on board who was just doing their job. And I heard some other content creators suggesting that it was then an Ukraine group that hacked the studio and released the game, but this is like all speculation. I have not seen anything concrete. And then it's the fact that it's extremely hard to get to the game anyway. So if you really want to get the game, you have to really, really look for it. And then even if you find a torrent site, you have to basically compromise your PC to even get the game. So in any case, this is not good for the studio, and the fact that they're making this game for like 10 years, it's a project for 10 years, they really don't deserve this.
yeah, usually you need someone from the inside or someone really good to be able to get that. The controversy that you mentioned about the Russian, I watched your video, like not the whole one because it was like I had to rush through to get some information, but I watched the majority of your video that they're attacking the studio, and I was just thinking to myself, what does it matter? Like, is he good? Is he qualified for the job? Does he go around the office singing the Russian national anthem and killing people who are not Russian? No, he's just there working, making a salary, making the game. Why do you care? I'm not gonna get into politics because this is a whole bag of worms that I don't want to open, but with every Fallout, and even now with I'm just gonna briefly mention the Mr. Beast Fallout. With every Fallout, people are very, very quick to jump on everything related to the main target. Like, you have, let's say, a controversial person or a controversial thing or a controversial, let's say, company, and people will go rapid fire on everything connected. And the problem with this is that a lot of these things are not actually connected to the company or to the wrongdoing that you're having with the company. And you're just doing rapid fire, shooting blindly on everything that is closely or loosely related to the thing that you hate, instead of just keeping your focus on the main topic. Like, either it's hate or love or whatever. But this is what's damaging people who just at the time wanted to have a job or a contract or anything. And it usually damages people who are innocent. And in this case, the Russian programmer, I don't believe that he was like a propagandist or anything. He was just a guy who knows how to program. I think he was a programmer, right?
Yeah, and they're very good and they just want to do their job. So there was even accusations like under that Twitter post about, are you supporting his hate speech? Like that was towards the studio, I think. And I'm like, what hate speech, guys? What hate speech?
Yeah, if like the one where he said is Ukraine is part of Russia.
And that is another thing. I mean, I think the programmer said that to them. That Ukraine is a part
Yeah,
of
okay, I can understand why that would be controversial and that would not be okay to say because of what's happening. It's his views on either what's good or not, but in any case.
I'm watching the kitten. It's amazing. In the meantime, watching it, the kitten is behind you. It's,
Yeah, the kid, he's like 8 kilo.
okay, put it on your head. Put it on your head.
You splash my head.
But he's so cute though. Okay, so yeah, guys, so basically that is it. We had a few controversies along the way. The game is going to come out on the night of September. So basically we have 1 month and like 2 weeks to go, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I'll probably, like, watching the trailer and seeing the gameplay, I'm seriously considering buying the game. Just not to, like, I'm not gonna dive head first into all the lore, but I just want to, yeah, probably pour out some, like, work rage or something, because this just looks fun. Like, the game looks fun. The game looks like amazing action, amazing pacing. Like, the pacing is simply amazing, like, so good, and I'm there for it because it looks awesome. It's just,
Yeah, it should be extremely compelling because the previous game had a great story. It's interesting, it's compelling. Captain Titus is a very cool guy. We'll probably see why he was demoted. Something about, I'm not sure, something happened. He had something to do. I'm not sure, I forgot actually. I think I read somewhere about that, but the most important part is that probably at the end of the game he's still gonna be captain somehow.
hey, he's gonna prove himself.
Yeah, and he also became Primaris Marine, which means that he crossed the Rubicon, which means that he was an original Space Marine from the, original born, so to speak, and now he's upgraded Space Marine. The Primaris are the new kind of Space Marines, which are a bit stronger, faster, and that this is also a good way to renew someone who is a very old now guy, Space Marine, like 500 years old, 1,000 years old, around there. And this way they can live longer and still be very, very capable in every way.
Everything for the campaign. Like, that's
Yes.
what I'm getting, like, just better for the campaign. It's awesome.
But for the Primarch, for the Emperor, for the Imperium.
Okay. Sorry. Like,
Yeah, you really have to check Warhammer when you can, because it's amazing lore. It's a lot of things.
I think I told you before. I know about the figurines. I watch your post all the time on YouTube. Like, if I dive into the Warhammer lore, I will dive into the figurines. I will dive into painting them. I will dive into everything, and then my entire social life will be over because I will just be sitting on the floor 12 hours a day, just painting figurines. There will be like a company meeting where I work at, and they'll say, "What are you doing?" Painting figurines for the glory.
Well, no, it's a very expensive hobby, so it's not like it's very easy. I mean, my Custodes, my miniatures are just a gift. I could not afford to give 170 leva for a whole squad, and with Sisters of Silence including, and they have also these amazing hover bikes basically that they're on, that's also in, and they're currently like behind me. I have not still unpacked them and started painting them, but I want to do that, so you have to assemble them. You have to then, when you assemble them with a special glue, which for plastic, it's great actually. It makes everything fused together. It's really awesome. And then, you start the base and all everything. It's very therapeutic. It's very fun. You have to have extreme precision. You have to buy the smallest possible brushes that you've ever seen, like 0.000 number of a brush, and you'll be like this.
Yeah, I can guarantee I'll rage so hard I'll renovate my whole apartment. Do it from three bedroom to 2 bedroom. That's why nature gave us 2 kidneys, by the way. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, do you know what Henry Cavill said once? Because his favorite faction is also Custodes, and he has a lot to paint. So when you have a lot to paint but you haven't started already, because everything is gray before you paint it, it's called my
Yeah,
gray
I
pile of shame.
Just circling in my head what it would be if I'm to paint those things, and I don't want to dream of that.
Well, okay, you can always start, with the figures, I'm customizing this Batman.
Do not tempt me.
It's very fun.
Do not tempt me, Frodo.
Jesus. Okay, and this huge gun, this is the bolter gun, also making it, it was completely gray because that's how McFarlane, he has these sets of gray Astartes and you can just paint them whatever, Legion chapter you want. So, yeah, this is like, it was gray, now it's silver. You can't see much, but, well, it looks good, okay. It looks good. It's gonna be looking even better
Yeah, it looks
later.
like a good long-term, long time, long hours after dark, all with a flashlight, quiet to not wake anyone up, and just be obsessive about it. Like, this is in my case. Like, it looks fun. I'm just trying to say it looks too much fun. And I have to keep myself from this because I remember sometimes that, like, a long time ago when World of Warcraft came out and I didn't leave my room for 4 weeks.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so we are gonna go. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you think about Space Marine 2. Are you going to buy it? Are you going to wait for the reviews? Of course, I'm going to play it as soon as the game comes out, or if I have the the pleasure, if Focus Entertainment actually are able to give me the key, maybe I'm going to be playing it a bit earlier than that. So in any case, gonna review the game, going to stream the game for you guys, and you're going to see everything, and we're going to objectively assess if this game is good. Is it a worthy predecessor of the original, which actually is still very, very solid game, and even the graphics are still pretty solid, and you can always play it. It's not wooden or something, it's great. So yeah, Space Marine 1 absolutely holds up to this day, so hopefully Space Marine 2 is a great successor. And thank you so much, dear friend Hilzo. Disgusting here, guys. Go and check his channel. It's going to be down below into the description. He's covering all kinds of amazing wokeness, anti-wokeness, all of that. Yeah, I mean, you can tell them yourself if you like.
Yeah, I'm just covering the news and doing some reviews on current issues and on some good shows that I've come across in my time. Thank you for the lesson that you, like the speed tutorial for Warhammer 40k. It has piqued my interest quite a bit because I haven't had such a conversation before. So yeah, I might just dive into it a bit more. Just a tip, because of you.
Yeah, dip your toes into the Black Templars. You know the Black Templars at least.
I already know I'm doomed.
Yeah, the Black Templars, their Primarch is Rogo Dorn. He's amazing. And I mean, he is one of those Primarchs that are very stoic. They're very loyal to the Emperor. They like to fortify things. So that's why I have an AI of an Rogo Dorn on some of my videos that say, I'm Rogo Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists. He is a Primarch of the Imperial Fist, but then, the Black Templars, they're a successor chapter of the Imperial Fist. So with each Primarch, you have one chapter that's the main chapter, like Gilliman with the Ultramarines, and in this case Rogo with the Imperial Fist. But then from the Imperial Fist, you have a few chapters that are like different strains, and they have different intricacies and interesting, unique things about them, but they're also, similar to, of course, their original chapter, which is in this case the Imperial Fist. But Black Templars that are so heavily featured in the Flash Kids animations, they're funny because they're very religious when it comes to the Emperor. The incense and the praying and everything else, and brother, and yeah, they're just very cool. So yeah, subscribe to the channel, guys, or Rogo Dorn is going to fortify your bathroom. You're not going to be able to go to the bathroom.
You don't want that, apparently.
Yeah, and he is very resilient.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you too. Okay, guys, for me, the 40k Empress, and disgusting.
The 40k Empress teaches fitness, health, nutrition, and helps with your intimate relationships. At OnlyFans. Yes, I know what you're thinking, but she doesn't use it for Slanesh things.
Go there and let her help you with what you truly need.
The link is down below in the description dimension.